9 out of 10 people do not immediately notice what's wrong with this handshake, so allow me to show you where to look. Trust me, you'll be sorry that I did.
Give me your hand.
I like cake, I just don't like icing on it. That's my main.
This is someone's right hand, and yet they're on the left side. Also, look at their fingernails. They're facing the wrong way. How can this be? The answer isn't pretty. The condition is called hypermobility. Though the phrase double jointed is commonly used, it's mostly genetic, meaning you are either born with this unusually large range of movement or not. Only 20% of people have it, though typically not to this degree, and there's no way for the rest of us to gain this talent, if you want to call it that, so don't even try to practice. Like most people, watching this video makes me feel like my fingers are going to fall off. Tell me if you would be able to shake the hand of someone with hypermobility while they were doing this. I mean, it's creepy, but also kind of cool. This retro arcade room is ruined by faulty wiring, or else a real ghost. To demonstrate, the owner picks up the remote to his ceiling fan and turns the light off.
Let's see. Oh, there it is. Wow.
The lights somehow turn on by themselves despite not touching the remote at all. At 4 seconds, we can see the nearest light switch is all the way across the room from the distinctive shark skateboard that he's now standing by. So he couldn't have hit that himself, and no one else is with him. Then, not only does the fan turn on by itself, but it also kind of goes the wrong way for a little bit first, which I don't think is normal. In a different video, the light looks much brighter than before, yet returns to normal brightness when turned off and back on. This time, he turns the light out and leaves the remote on the wall. He steps out towards the middle of the room, and the light comes back on before he even gets a chance to properly set up his camera. Based on what I've seen here, I think these videos are real, because nothing stood out as blatantly fake. If this house is haunted, let's just hope it's not a malevolent spirit. After all, you wouldn't want to give up an arcade setup that nice. It's 2 at night when this doorbell cam captures something that really shouldn't be possible. Pay attention to the area by the white railing to see it. Some kind of smoky blur appears out of nowhere and paces back and forth twice before disappearing. The uploader insists that this is a ghost, and I agree that it is a strong possibility. Look again, and it almost looks like a large head accompanied by 2 hanging arms, or at least that's what I see. Let me know if you can see it as well. Some visitors should definitely call ahead. Posted to the Ring subreddit by Ashlyn Bra. This resident had an unexpected visitor at her door around 6 p.m. on Vancouver Island. The Ring camera footage shows an enormous bear sniffing around the front porch of this resident's home. After bypassing the front door, the bear wanders to a side window, looking briefly up at it, as if considering entering this way. The massive animal then makes its way around the side of the garage and out of sight. Many in the comments are saying pass to this one, while Redditor Bubba9999 is wondering why it has a collar on. Was it tagged for wildlife tracking purposes, or does this big bear have an owner? More importantly, is he going to make this a regular thing? This ghost is trying to bum a ride. Posted by Ghost Videos in July of 2020. A man was driving in Johor, Malaysia when he crossed paths with a hitchhiking spirit. The dashcam footage shows a dark, empty room at night. According to the timestamp, it's around 2 in the morning in July of 2019. As the car barrels down the road, a semi-transparent figure appears in the dark lane on the right. You can barely make out the apparition as it holds out its thumb to catch a ride. What do you think? A live person half hidden in the darkness? Hitchhiking in the darkness of night? If so, what is the spirit's destination? We may never know. Exploration Unknown is an adventurous channel based out of Knoxville, Tennessee. The host, John, has been checking out hundreds of weird places around the South for over 3 years now. Usually all he finds is historic architecture, but he's also stumbled into his share of paranormal places, dozens of them. In 2018, he and his friend Tim traveled to the Nemo train tunnel, 6 miles south of Wartburg, Tennessee. Their plan is to walk straight through to the other side. The outside is slowly collapsing and gives off an eerie vibe that they cannot deny. They get their first sign to stay away at 4 minutes and 45 seconds as they stare down the waterlogged entrance.
I don't either. There's a lot of sediment built up in here for sure. Did you hear that howl? Something went, howl.
The same noise is heard again at 11 minutes and 9 seconds.
I keep hearing something. Keep going. Shh.
The air grows thick as John and Tim continue to march down the straight path, alternating between wet and dry patches. 2 minutes later, they reach the part of the tunnel where they originally heard the noise, and there they experience one of the weirdest encounters on his whole channel. A shadow passes and something touches John's arm.
Literally just touched my
It's
arm.
coming around the corner. Whatever that thing is, I can still see it. It's come around the corner.
Then when it walks in between them both, it causes their camera to go out of focus.
Something touched my arm, like grazed it.
Dude, as I come around that bend, you can still see it poking its head around the phones. What are you? Hello?
And when they ask if they want to communicate,
Are you trying to communicate with us?
the camera goes back into focus as if it simply walks away, but in its place is a lingering dread that makes them feel unsafe, a slight hum as if the air is electrified.
Sounds like a train coming.
Dude, that sounds like it's coming right at us.
A train horn comes from behind even though the tracks have been ripped up long ago. It's either edited or a ghost train. Not much else happens until they finally see light from the other side of the tunnel. They felt watched this entire time and John decides to try and convince the spirit to reveal itself on camera once and for all.
Is there anything you'd like to say before we leave?
Believe it or not, that's not even their creepiest ghost train encounter. A year prior, John, Tim, and their friend James all found an abandoned train in the middle of the woods in 2017, probably not too far from the Nemo tunnel. A broken window in the first car suggests that something could have struck the conductor and stopped the train, where it has remained ever since. In the kitchen, John captures a strange white anomaly head past them, and then the camera mysteriously blurs when they open the door. Now they are in the first passenger car and conclude that something is with them.
Smash that like button for me. What was that?
It's probably just like the tree.
My camera's blurring up real bad.
Oh, don't tell me that, bro.
Yeah, it's blurring up real bad. Okay, there we go.
My camera gets blurry some.
Something is getting mad that they won't leave. They're seeing things at the same time. A shadow that I don't see, but maybe you can.
I hear somebody moving still. Oh, I just saw a shadow again. Hello?
Dude, what was that?
An orb appears at the exact same moment something falls behind them. Tim goes to investigate, and this is when it all goes wrong.
What was that?
Dude, what? Dude, did you hear that?
Yes.
Dude, what was that? Dude, what was
I
that?
don't know. Somebody said something.
A noise behind Tim and another in front of John sends them running away. As they squint into the darkness, John thinks he sees something his camera can't detect.
Dude, how do we get into these situations? Seriously.
I know. Dude, I think somebody just peeked out down there.
But as the invisible presence draws closer, they do manage to detect something.
We might want to get out of here, guys. Just in case.
It's the type of slight picture distortion that allegedly happens when a ghost steps near. So light anomalies and picture distortions are all well and good, but I bet a full-sized apparition is what you really came here for. Well, Exploration Unknown has got you covered. In February of 2018, John and Tim explore an abandoned factory that was shut down after mysterious accidents led to speculation that it could be cursed. It isn't long before they quickly agree.
What is it?
Dude, that something's kind of against that wall.
Dude. What is that banging?
What is that scream?
I just saw a light, dude. Hold still.
Looks like
And when walking deeper, the noises grow heavier, more angry.
sounds like it's about that time in that place. Just going backwards now.
It waits until they reach the far wall and are cornered before revealing itself to their horrified eyes.
Out what that is. Dude, that come from over here. Dude, get out of here! Go, my dude!
John and Tim want to believe that this was just a person fooling with them, but I think we all know the answer. Nobody would be living out here, and I think that's the key word, living. What they saw was not anything close to alive. Uday Hindi is exploring an old building when he comes across a little girl staring at him from the corner of the room.
والله خايف أدخل ما كانت هذيك بسم الله.
The door furthest away from both of them shuts all by itself before he gets a chance to investigate. Despite this, Uday Hindi bravely pushes into the next room and discovers she is not a girl, but rather a creepy life-size doll. He roughly handles the doll from room to room and throws it on the floor, and that's when the doll decides it's had enough.
يا إخوان أنا انسحبت من المغامرة مش خوف ولكن أنا تأذيت كثير.
I saw no strings when the doll moved, did you? Anyway, he is busy analyzing some strange and possibly demonic markings on the doll when suddenly this happens. Watch and try and translate what he says shortly before it goes all wrong.
طلعوا يا إخوان حتى الإشي داخلي.
This part I feel like could have been from the way the doll was leaning on the wall before it fell, but the incident before that I feel could be quite real. A YouTuber named Paloma Renee decides to buy a supposed ghost off eBay. She receives this letter describing an old ghost from the 1800s that has haunted their home for years before being captured in a jar. The instructions look like they were typed in a hurry and are incomplete. Despite this warning, Paloma and her friend unleash the ghost and use a Ouija board to communicate. They aren't taking this very seriously at all, and ask some pretty silly questions for about 5 minutes. They get mostly non-answers in return and are ready to end the session. But first they check to see if they offended the ghost. This is their cursed reply.
Yeah. Or wait, are you gonna haunt us? Like, are you gonna make our life hell? Jin, don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Watch their hands again and tell me if you think this is a real paranormal answer, or if they are moving the pointer themselves. This human-faced goat is so strange that it attracted visitors from villages all over to gawk at its round, puffy cheeks and jaws. While this is far from the appearance of an adult, it does somewhat resemble an oversized newborn infant. As the creature matured, it lost many of its human-like features in my opinion, and its appearance looks more like a rare genetic mutation than an actual human face. I'm surprised it has been able to live this long, but I doubt that its existence is the result of witchcraft, like this village strongly believes. Do you think the village's theory is right, or what are these strange so-called light balls that keep setting this Redditor's cameras off? Redditor Spambone is wondering if the Reddit community has any theories. Well, let's see what we can come up with as well. Let's take a look. This goes on for 2 minutes. Sometimes 2 light balls appear simultaneously. Some say it's obviously a bug, others think it's a web of some kind. Still others say it's a laser pointer or a reflection of some other light source. Practically no one thinks this is an orb or paranormal in any way, and neither do I. I'm firmly in the spider or cobweb camp. What do you think it is? Someone is watching you. Published to YouTube by Finders Beepers History Seekers in August of 2020. The channel writes, Matt and Andy are reunited in this week's creepy explore of an abandoned care home that was shut down for reports of terrible living conditions. Although it was shut down, maybe something paranormal stuck around. About 20 minutes into the edited video, the pair are headed up the stairs when they see this. Panning up to the second level, a figure moves across the upper hallway in the darkness. Unbeknownst to Mike and Andy, the shadowy menace was clearly watching them. The pair calls out to the person, but no answer. They consider backing down, but they think there's someone on the bottom floor as well. They decide to take their chances upward, but when they head up there, they find there's no one on the landing, and in fact, that landing where the figure crossed over doesn't even lead to another room. There's no way out. Some in the comments think the figure was the spirit of a former patient or staffer. Open Paranormal writes, I think you just caught some of the best paranormal activity I've ever seen. There's clearly no one around, but you could clearly see a shadow of someone up there. We'd have to agree, this one seems genuine. Now you see it, now you don't. A pale ghostly figure appears at the end of the darkened hallway. It seems to enter from the left. The dog clearly sees it and runs toward it. Then when the light flips on, the figure just disappears. The dog seems as surprised by this turn of events as we are. Watch it again. The figure is visibly there. There's no mistaking it. So where did it go? Although I'm not sure where the figure disappeared to, I did notice something else in the video. Watch the shadow on the floor after the light flickers on. Something clearly walks past in the other room. Is it the ghostly figure or some other monster? Mr. Fitry is exploring the haunted PLKN building, a youth program in Malaysia that's said to be haunted ever since a mysterious case of mass food sickness led to the abandonment of the whole program. He's caught some creepy moments 17 minutes into the live stream when someone donates.
Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Allah Akbar!
His camera freezes and the image whitens as something passes by.
Kun fayakun. Allah Akbar! Akbar! Ya Allah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Ya Allah. Allah Akbar, bergerak sini.
The only time his camera seems to freeze is when paranormal activity is happening in front of him.
Allah Akbar! Wais! Allah Akbar, apa benda tu? Ya Allah! Wais!
He runs into the room it was literally just in and the ghost is gone. There's no jump cut editing and this was on live stream, so the figure should have still been there if it was a person. He stands outside of the window to see if it will return.
Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Allah Akbar! Allah Akbar! Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar, wais! Allah Akbar! Wai gila sial!
The figure is in the next room. Now is the chance for a paranormal encounter up close.
Wait! Wait! Ya Allah, Tuhanku! Hati aku!
By the time he gets back, he needs to lay down and think about what he just saw. Apparently being surrounded by that much paranormal energy has drained all of his. Mother Nature sometimes digs up monsters. That was the case during the 2011 tsunami in Japan. This scary video is proof that there are plenty of species in our oceans that we haven't yet met. The clip shows floodwaters tearing through the Japanese coast. Well, this is disturbing enough. Don't be distracted by all the debris. Instead, look closely at this waterway. What looks to be either translucent vapor or a big spout of water shoots up in the air like a geyser before vanishing like a ghost. Some are saying it is a ghost, while others think it's a propane tank discharging when its regulator was torn off. A few people think it may be marine life with highly effective camouflage skills. Where do you land in this debate? My guess is something paranormal. A group of friends are exploring an abandoned house, but they get no further than the front door before they get freaked out by a possible ghost sighting. According to the description, if you look closely at the right side of the window, you'll see a shadow figure looking at them. Take a look at what they've caught on tape and tell me if you see a shadow figure on the right.
No, it's not. That's a shadow. That's shadow. That's shadow.
Exactly. Pega ya al teléfono.
At first, I thought they were maybe talking about this shadowy figure down here, which is on the right like they say, but I'm pretty sure that's the shadow of the person holding the camera, and what could be a glowing eye is actually light from their camera too. Also, the person in a red shirt who sees the shadow figure is pointing in an entirely different direction. Like I said, I don't see anything paranormal in this video, but every single person in the comments says there is a shadow figure caught on camera if you look close enough. Just because I don't see it doesn't mean one isn't there. Somebody help me out because I want to know what they are looking at. When you do see it, apparently it's really scary. This home in Villisca, Iowa is where an axe-wielding maniac once took the lives of an entire family and 2 guests. Whoever did it was never brought to justice, and now, more than 100 years later, the restless spirits of those left behind have yet to find peace. A YouTuber named Lighthouse Music senses the spirit of children hiding in the closet and starts recording. She speaks in a nice tone and offers candy. Nothing happens for some time until... Then, as if further proof was needed, the spirit appears to follow some other basic commands.
Just a little bit further, or can you close it?
They even ask the child to open the door wider than before as a test, and it timidly seems to obey. But the part that really has me convinced is at the very end.
Just in case that was you, I'm going to do as promised. I'm going to leave you some candy. I'm going to leave it right here, over here on this chair for you, okay? Well, thank you.
Notice how the door shuts harder than any other time in the video as soon as the spirit gets what it wants. Maybe it could be a draft from a nearby window opening and closing the door, but this definitely seems like childlike behavior to me. A man enters a restaurant in Split, Croatia, and helps himself not only to a chair, but to a customer's belongings as well. First, he enters loudly enough to make 2 women turn around and take notice. He was probably on a fake phone call and tried to play it cool, but fails miserably. He pretends to hang his jacket up on the chair and stretches out to try and swipe this black backpack. It doesn't work, and so, undeterred, he tries again. This time as one of the family members gets up, and he's about as close as he can be to getting caught here at 41 seconds. And so he knocks it to the floor while the older man is busy swapping out a more comfortable chair, covers it with his jacket, picks it up, and dips. They must have thought the odd fellow simply changed his mind about eating here. Only later did they realize he had gotten away with one of their travel documents. Obviously, this man has practiced this technique many times before and probably targeted them because they looked like a tourist family. He has yet to be caught in the past 4 years and most likely never will. So the next time you're at a restaurant, watch out for any odd characters sitting at a table near you. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, fear can take your breath away. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit, Tyler12798 explains that he took this video while he was 12 at his mom's office. Tyler writes, "There were rumors that a ghost named Kevin roamed the place. One day I recorded this. We heard deep moaning coming from a window. Let's see what happened next."
You! Keep open the door! Keep open the door! Close it! Open! Now open it! Open! Open!
A wooden door kept slamming and swinging of its own accord. According to Tyler, all the windows were closed when this occurred, so it was unlikely to be an issue of airflow. Some in the comments note that they have never captured the other side of the door on film, so there might have been someone behind opening and shutting it. Tyler claims there was no one. In the comments, Tyler also writes that when he returned from the bathroom, a sticky note on the door read, "Kevin was here." While many insist that outside airflow caused this, we'd like to think it was the Home Alone ghost playing practical jokes. So do you think this has a rational or paranormal explanation? This team is exploring the ranch of an alleged skinwalker. Published by KBC Cazadores de Fantasmas in April of 2022, the cameraman is quick to sense something lurking around them in the wilderness.
Ei, ei, ei! Vocês escutaram?
Escutei.
Uma voz.
As they move on, they again sense something. Further along, they think they hear a sound and start to rush forward.
Meu Deus.
Still finding nothing, at last, they arrive at these abandoned ruins. While inside the ruins, they hear a noise again outside. Later, back out in the wilderness, their EMF meter is triggered. Whose energy are they sensing here?
Para o pendrive? Credo, mano. Quem que é você que chegou aqui perto? Ó, atrás de mim agora. Beleza, foca aí, foca aí, foca aí.
Again, someone or something is in the vicinity. Is it the Skinwalker? As day turns to night, paranoia kicks in. The legendary creature might be skulking anywhere in this forest. Should this team stick around to find out? I would have already been gone.
Fica junto, gente. Fica junto mesmo. Pega o Lucílio. Pega o Lucílio, pega o Lucílio, pega o Lucílio. João, tá andando aí na frente, ó.
A YouTuber named CTV911 is on his way to see the new Star Wars movie when the crowded mall elevator abruptly stops, leaving him stuck with other worried passengers. I can't exactly tell for sure, but I think one of them might be trying to force the doors open here, maybe to get more air into the elevator. Watch this part and let me know what you think they are trying to tell him not to do.
Hey, anybody up there? It's getting unbearably hot in here.
Have you tried the phone again to let them know someone's going down?
I could only imagine what would have happened if he had managed to actually get the doors open. After about 9 minutes, one of the passengers breaks down and has a full-blown panic attack.
You don't have a medicine at all? Coming out.
It isn't until 40 minutes later that help finally arrives. Firefighters can't get the doors open, so they have to bust in through the top of the elevator. Their welcome entrance nonetheless sends shrapnel down on the waiting crowd.
Watch your eyes, guys. There's screws everywhere, too.
I'm still going up. Hey, can I have it?
Yeah, you can have it. We don't want it.
Hey, we're trying to help.
They somehow squeeze a ladder into the elevator and send everyone up one by one. The YouTuber misses his movie but is glad he no longer has to spend another moment stuck in that cramped space. Lewis Clark and his friends want to check out this old abandoned train up close to see what's in it. All the train cars are mostly empty, but then they see something horrible in the caboose.
What is that? What the oh my god.
The sheets are covered in red splotches and appear to have something heavy underneath them, but Lewis Clark and his friends don't dare unwrap them. They run away from the scene as fast as possible instead, jumping over a second sheet in the process. What was under these sheets, if anything, is anyone's guess, though many have speculated that both incidents could have been covering an actual body. As far as I know, Lewis Clark and his friends have not returned to unwrap the sheets, and they probably never will. Yasa is exploring not a tunnel, not a cave, but a haunted well, as in a dark hole straight down. He gets strapped into a pulley system and slowly lowered into the claustrophobic entrance. Right away, he finds a snake at the bottom along with some other scary things that are way more concerning.
في شيء ترى هنا. بسم الله.
A toy blocks a small passage that he can't fit through, but a child can. Perhaps this is where the child who haunts this well crawled to after falling in. As he contemplates this possibility, something comes at him from behind.
المغارة هذه طويلة. هو كهف بس حرارة فيها غير طبيعي. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
I think this is probably just part of the well, but it also kind of looks like the side profile of a boy's grinning face, rotten teeth and all. A landlord named Jill Prevost is in the basement of a rental property when she sees a furious house cat guarding the top of the steps. The angry, hissing animal descends upon her within seconds. Watch this part and you'll see the cat attack her purse with all of its might. Jill simply holds it in front of her for protection, otherwise the rampaging animal could have easily been climbing up her leg.
Stop it! Stop it! Stop it!
There is nowhere to run except past the cat up the stairs. Once upstairs, she immediately grabs a broom and remains stuck in the house until the owner comes back.
Get away. This cat just attacked me.
This video is definitely bizarre until you realize cats instinctively go for areas that cause the most damage, like the face or throat. Though it may be a domestic house cat, it is nonetheless protecting its territory with everything it's got, so who knows what would have happened if the owner had not come to Jill's rescue in time. A paranormal YouTube channel known as Exploring Darkness goes on a two-person investigation that leaves them, in their words,
really an exploring video.
What in the world?
I said we're gonna call this an exploring video. Now I'm getting scared. Dude,
knowing what true evil feels like by the time they're through.
Is someone in here?
Here's the roof. Nope.
On reviewing the video evidence, the research team sees a hooded figure at 3 minutes 51 seconds. Paranormal or not, there's no doubt that this is the person responsible for making all of the noise. Freaky, right? There's a YouTube channel called Happy Life that ironically explores some of the most miserably haunted places in all of Pakistan. Happy Life began as a spiritual advice channel, and now they hope to better understand the darker side of spirituality through paranormal investigations like this one. This time, the Happy Life crew intends to check out a haunted school where numerous students were said to have lost their lives. Early on, they encounter a poltergeist who is intent on chasing them away. The first encounter sounds like it's throwing plates, but then it graduates to a heavy bottle that could have really done them harm.
निकल बाहर
Doors also repeatedly close as if something really doesn't want them to go any further. But the more I look at it, the more I think the cameraman is responsible for all of this rather than a ghost. The objects always just so happen to be thrown from the cameraman's direction, a strange coincidence, and the camera person always seems to be within arm's reach whenever the doors close, so I think he is either kicking it or else pushing it shut with his free hand. But when they get to the very top of the school, they find this mysterious red streak of dried up liquid overlooking the balcony. So even though parts of this video may have possibly been embellished, perhaps a student really did lose their life here after all. The situation only gets weirder when they come across a star in the hall that could have been used as a ritual or simply drawn by them to make the video scarier. I think it could be real though, because look what happens soon after one of them kneels in the middle. The way it echoes down the hall sounds forcefully loud and possibly real. One of them explores a room, while the other records from outside the window. No one else is nearby, so then tell me who is responsible for what happens next. They decide the inside is too dangerous to go any further and stick to the outer perimeter. Eventually, they come across a shallow well that gives off a residual negative energy that could be left over from a terrible and tragic event. Something compels them to climb inside, and sure enough, the dirt has been freshly disturbed. An orb passes left to right over the small grave as he plucks this fragment of human and holds it to the camera. Published by LANH TV New in March of 2022, and originally published by Knob Team Explore, this scary video reveals that the real haunting happens just out of sight. As the cameraman walks us through an abandoned structure, he rounds a corner where two bright lights are spotted blinking in the dark distance of the surrounding forest. What are they? He whistles and walks toward them. But before we can get to the bottom of that mystery, something starts rattling off to the left. The cameraman turns in the sound's direction, and he starts to approach the rattling. Rounding another corner, he finds that this door is the culprit. He calls out and then runs away.
Assalamualaikum.
Turning around, he captures this hanging from the rafters. It appears to be a small pair of legs. The rest of the figure's body remains out of sight. When he turns around and casts the camera back, the figure is no longer there. What is this horror? Something that's gonna stay with me for a long time, that's for sure. East Riddlesden Hall in West Yorkshire, England, is considered one of Britain's most haunted houses. While at the hall, YouTuber Roman Joe took a video of the old barn to send to her partner. When she watched it back, she noticed something strange. Let's take a look. Did you see it? Watch the window to the left of the carriage. Something seems to block the light for a moment. The YouTuber believes it's a spirit passing by the window. If it's true that no one was on site, to me the only thing that could explain this is if that window had a shutter that just so happened to move with the wind at the same moment that the camera pans past. Otherwise, this is for sure the Grey Lady, and I think they should get out of there immediately. This driver records a potentially supernatural highway encounter that leaves him speechless and terrified. According to the driver, this person was missing their head. Look again and you'll see it does look like they have no head, but it's probably just the way the headlights overpower the camera. There's just one thing though, even when they do get past the headlights, it still appears as if there is nothing above their shoulders. A YouTube duo called Alone and Afraid are ghost hunting in a haunted cemetery in Port Arthur, Texas. While scanning the perimeter, they barely manage to catch a moving shadow that has no reason to stand out, let alone step aside. Look again. At 26 minutes and 58 seconds, a shadow is standing in front of a marker and then it moves away. The camera goes out of focus in the exact same area where they last saw the shadow's movement. Now standing in the middle of the cemetery with only a flashlight on them, the two begin hearing scary noises coming from the darkness.
She was asking for help. I'm hearing stuff all around us. This place is just super eerie.
I would classify this as extremely haunted. So, as promised, we're going to come back.
They hear approaching footsteps in the still night.
We're going to come back.
But when they explore the area with their flashlight, a blurred camera is all they can see, like an invisible presence is standing near. Junior Tour 1 helps his father move a table, and only when they put it down does he notice something he wishes he never caught on camera.
And we picked it up under here, and we carried it out. And when I flipped it over, guess what I discovered? And I stuck my hands under there.
From the view at 36 seconds, it's easy to see how the spider stayed hidden from view. The circled area is where the spider is, and also exactly where he grabbed the table to lift it. For better context, this is where his fingers were, and of course you already know where the spider is. He thinks this is a wolf spider, but someone else claims this to be a dark fishing spider. This is a fierce debate in the comments section of the video, so let's see if we can settle the issue here. Experts have yet to debunk a YouTube channel claiming to break the very boundaries of space and time. The channel features no less than 8 videos taking place over the course of a year, which focus on a strange glowing device. The device apparently uses different tones and frequencies to experiment with interdimensional travel. Here you can see the first real signs of success from a video in 2017.
There's fracture.
Some sort of molecular rift opens between his very eyes and looks very convincing. The rift appears to move very realistically with the camera and does not look to be CGI. After a few months of research and careful adjustments, he finally figures out the correct combination of frequencies to open the rift wider than ever before. Again, nothing about this looks like CGI to me. The way the rift moves with the camera would have been very hard to digitize frame by frame in my opinion, especially when the camera goes out of focus at the 1 minute 50 second mark. Soon the edges of the rift grow thin, and another world emerges. If this video is to be believed, then what you could be staring into is an alternate timeline of our own world. So far, video editing experts have yet to disprove this video, so let me know if you think it's fake or real based on what you've seen here. Working from home has its perks, but this might deter some. Posted to the very spooky video subreddit by External Tangents, this redditor was home on a gloomy day when he heard some strange noises. At his door, the noise sounds like distant clicking. He opens his hallway door to investigate. Out in the hallway, you can hear whining and slamming. It sounds like it's coming from upstairs. Then as he looks up to find an outside door open, it clanks loudly. He's found the culprit. At the top of the stairs, the exit door to the roof is open. Heading out onto the roof, he finds no one there. Although the mystery is solved, some think it's odd that the exit alarm isn't blaring. They also find the sounds and visuals quite spooky. If you heard this while you were alone in your apartment, would you have the nerve to investigate? I'd be looking for a new place to live. In 2014, Paranormalana created her channel, and it soon became one of the fastest growing channels in the scary community. Her channel had reached over 50,000 subscribers, until on a September day in 2015, her channel vanished without a trace or reason. Since then, theories have abounded online about what caused her disappearance, though some think she just became bored with the platform. A more disturbing theory has picked up interest. Shortly before her disappearance, she posted the following on social media: "Had a pretty scary stalking incident, so unfortunately I'm having to change the way I run my social media. No more Facebook." Since then, many have wondered if this stalker had a part in her disappearance. It's certainly plausible, but since there's been no update since 2015, we will never know for sure. Have you ever got the feeling that you're being followed? Poppy's Paradise posted this footage to Reddit writing, "Something is following me." The guy in the clip says he was driving when he noticed something outside in the darkness. He stopped his car on the side of the road to film whatever it is, and he shouts a greeting to the figure outside the window.
"There's something up here. Hello?"
As he drives slowly past, the something that he saw following him comes into view. The figure looks like a girl straight out of The Ring, dressed in white with long black hair. The ghastly creature is seen only for a moment before the clip ends. Is this thing truly following him? We can only hope this was his only sighting. You would need serious courage to stay calm in a situation like this. A while back, a YouTuber named Hey Charmaine somehow came across a creepy doll head that she found fascinating in a way that was hard to explain. She gets a really weird feeling from it and knows this is more than an ordinary piece of plastic. So she puts it by her bed with the camera on at night to see what happens. One night, the creepy doll head moves all by itself, or so she says. It's pretty weird, but notice how the video has been sped up, a sign of stop motion photography. If this video was shown at regular speed, I would be more likely to believe it, but the movements look very abrupt, like somebody kept repositioning the doll a little at a time and sped up the video to create the illusion of movement. A man films the road ahead while speaking in a different language. I'm not sure what he says, but it sounds like he is trying his best to stay calm in the face of danger. If you can translate this part for me, it would really help.
Berikan ku kekuatan dan jauhilah segala kejahatan, ya Allah.
He slowly turns around the camera to reveal a hooded figure floating in his car. Only the upper half of its body is visible, and there's total darkness where its face should be. He doesn't dare look at the phantom in his rearview mirror, instead keeping his eyes on the road and letting the camera look for him. If this isn't a prop, then what could it be besides a ghost? A YouTuber named Angelo Black gathers some friends and together they head to a local tunnel that's rumored to get more terrifying and dangerous the farther down you go. They begin their journey with the goal of going deeper than anyone has dared to before. Laughing and joking at first, but soon growing more serious as they huddle close, banding together against a gnawing claustrophobic dread that nobody wants to be the first to acknowledge. Eventually, they find a lonely portion of pipe that is next to no graffiti and bravely keep going. After traveling a great distance, they're now staring down an even narrower passageway that feels wrong enough to make all of them stop. One of them asks who's there, and this wild growl comes from the darkness within.
Come closer. Who's there?
Before they even have time to react, the camera person thinks a face is looking at them, which I don't see, but I do hear this faint moan shortly afterwards. It's definitely coming from up ahead.
Wait.
The moan soon changes into the same growl again, even louder this time, that I think might actually be a rusty old drain pipe letting loose. Still, I wouldn't take any chances by sticking around, especially not after I heard this. Their phone mysteriously stops recording at this point, and they get out of there fast. but whether it stopped recording because of a low battery or because of paranormal interference has never been verified. Sometimes you come across video footage on YouTube that just gives you a strange, unsettling feeling in the pit of your stomach, despite appearing relatively harmless. This clip is one of those types. Abner H7 posted the video titled Movo10 to Reddit. The clip begins with an emergency warning sound and reads, "Please hold, playback will begin." A dark screen appears to show the woods at night. The phrase "Hollow was alive" flashes scratchily on the screen for a moment, leaving viewers to wonder what that hollow lie is. The walk through the dark forest starts to morph into an unsettling funhouse mirror. The leaves on the ground sway and distort. Another phrase flashes across the screen reading, "They are making it real. Who are they? What is being made real? We are left to guess." Continued shots of the leaves, branches, and grass in the darkness are replaced suddenly by a shot of the moon. Then one more message appears, "Help us." The clip then ends with another high-pitched sound, an official message indicating the playback is complete. What does this creepy clip mean? And why is this YouTube channel full of them? World-famous athlete Lionel Messi was the world's highest-paid soccer player for 6 years straight. And before I get flooded with comments, let's all acknowledge the sport is called football everywhere else in the world besides North America. But Messi also has another distinction, being one of the only soccer players to have a paranormal moment caught on live television. He is doing an interview from home when this mysterious figure is seen in the window. This could be someone from the media, but there's only one problem. This seems to be an interview done over the computer, meaning no need for a television crew here. Messi doesn't seem fazed by the figure, so it might have been a family member or a friend in the room with him. With that said, the way they stand still as a statue the whole time has people wondering if this was a real ghost sighting video or not. If this were paranormal, I think he would have turned around, but unless he addresses the video, I guess we won't know for sure. Police arrive to find a mother of two is seeing things on the roof while holding her 2 children. She doesn't believe a word anyone has to say and thinks everyone is out to get her. Now it's up to them to bring everybody down safely. They climb onto the narrow ledge, and there's barely enough room for a grown man to stand. She is in such an anxious, delusional state that not even a legitimate badge and uniform are enough to convince her. My analysis of this part is that she thinks that he is putting away his badge too quickly, which in her mind means it must be fake.
Where's your badge?
There you go.
Okay, really?
Yeah, real.
No, really, let me see.
Yeah, right here. See? It says police.
Sergeant?
Yeah.
Eventually, she thinks he is real, but then she thinks his partner is an imposter. She reads his name tag out loud and freaks out.
No, who are you? Point Blank? Point Blank's body adventure? No, Point Blank!
I think his name is Blaine Point or something like that, but I can't figure out what the significance is to her. Also, it sounds like she calls him a body avenger, whatever that means. At this point, she is so frantic that she might lose her balance. So the cops have to grab the kids by the arm and get into a terrifying tug of war. The poor kid has an adult pulling on each arm. The situation is probably horrifying for them. Eventually, the police win and round the children up, who sadly probably won't be seeing their mother again until well into their teenage years, if ever. This creepy video takes viewers on an adventure around the world through Google Earth, and what we discover is not of this world. Published by Keinan Mujik, the journey begins with a zoom toward Japan. Landing on the streets of an unknown city, Google Earth pans skyward between 2 buildings and spies this thing floating above. It looks like a squid or octopus. The dark figure's details are difficult to make out, but it has 2 thin limbs, a short abdomen, and a football-shaped head. What is this thing? Is it an extraterrestrial? Is it some creepy kite? Or is it the ocean in the sky? Posted by Cosmic Messenger 01, this video teaches you that what's ever lurking in the shadows isn't what you should fear. The shadows themselves are. Taken at the Campo Grande MS Penitentiary in Brazil. The grainy footage shows a dark gray barracks, appearing empty at night, although it's likely not empty, as clothes hang on wires out of each of the windows. Now watch on the bottom floor as something appears to be moving on the side of one wall. The shadow person begins to move upward before moving sideways and appearing to duck down behind some clothing. You can see the shadow duck out again, moving in an amoeba-like style, towards the wall and upward, before the shadow disappears out of sight. What is going on here? Is there a prison ghost here? Whatever it is, I don't want to find out. This one's a real head scratcher. This Redditor shared this video of a USB cable with a life of its own. Let's take a look. Let's see it again, slower this time. The cord is still for about 20 seconds and then becomes active again. If you zoom in on the cable, it does look like there's something attached to it about 2 inches below the head. But you can't see the string, so I'm hesitant to say that's not just a reflection of light on the cord at certain angles. I can't offer a resounding verdict on this one. What do you think it is? Another poltergeist is haunting an abandoned church, and this one isn't so playful. Published to YouTube in July of 2021, this abandoned church has some supernatural visitors. Inside the church, amongst the whistling in the wilderness, something thuds nearby. The boys hold still, trying to listen for more unexplained noises. Moments later, they are standing there, casting light on the wall, when a distant, low-pitched moan is heard in the background. Well, in what looks like a basement space with lots of old items stored, a blast of sound is heard in the next room.
Güey, ¿qué pedo?
Ven.
Güey.
Ven. Se oyó acá, se oyó allá. Se oyó allá, güey.
Something heavy and out of sight was thrown on the ground. As the boys attempt to speak to the spirit, another strange moan sounds faintly. And then a couple of shelf doors are slammed shut with great force. In another area of the haunted church, several small successive thuds are followed by a strange double beep. They quickly get away from that space. Later, when peeking around a corner, a cabinet door slowly closes. Whatever is closed isn't caught on camera. Not long after, a big heavy door slowly opens before being jarringly half shut. They approach the door. There is nothing on the other side. As the scary video wraps up, one of the crew is taking in a dark room when they hear a faint noise in the darkness.
Como lo hicimos en aquella ocasión que entramos a este.
They look over, shining a light there but find nothing. What is following them through this church? Perhaps a demon that couldn't be redeemed. Turnshaw's special school in Kirkburton was destroyed by a massive fire in July of 2009. Many residents phoned the fire department after noticing flames coming from the building. Hurd and his crew of 50 firefighters were dispatched to the area around 6 p.m. The size of the fire was enormous and required a lot of manpower. The crew managed to control the fire enough to save one of the buildings, but it took all night and 5 jets to take down the flames. Residents were told to stay indoors while the fire department did its job. The fumes were thick and some residents claimed that the firefighters were warning residents about asbestos. Huddersfield Fire Station crew manager Mark Hurd stated that these were indicators that the fire was started on purpose. It's unclear where the investigation into the matter led, but this was certainly one extremely large fire. Built around 1635, the Pidhirtsi Castle is said to be one of the most haunted places in Ukraine. Take a look at some of the best paranormal evidence ever taken out of the creepy castle.
Andriana! Andriana!
A ghostly figure appears in the window and waves at them before mysteriously disappearing. It's not a reflection of clouds because of how quick it fades in and out. The person filming calls out the name Adriana, who I think was the name of one of the king's many wives hundreds of years ago, and whose life was possibly taken by him. Or it's just good editing. Hard to say. This place is said to be absolutely flooded with supernatural forces, so who knows? Amy Admin wonders if an actual apparition was caught on home security camera haunting her place. Her strange sighting happened at 7 in the morning. A vaguely human-shaped figure walks to the curb and mysteriously disappears. Some scary stuff is going on across the street from her house. Or is it? Perhaps it is a reflection of a car hitting the brakes. The alleged apparition does seem to come and go with the appearance of a car. The only problem with this theory is that there's nothing here for the brake lights to reflect off of. Maybe a piece of glass on the ground or something. So what's been caught on tape, paranormal activity, or a trick of light? I don't know, and now I'm as creeped out as Amy Admin is. Shima Luanne was once an illustrator who worked for the YouTube channel Danger Dolan. Her last video, which was uploaded over 2 years ago, has since left fans curious, worried, and upset at her unannounced disappearance. That's because the very last video ever made on her channel was celebrating the 50,000 subscriber mark, and it contained nothing but optimistic remarks about the future, like this one, for example.
You guys have been asking me a lot of questions, and a lot of stuff that I can answer in the FAQ videos, which I know I'm behind on, but that's okay.
So it's obvious that, as of this final upload, Shima was still encouraging fans to interact with her, and appears to have every intention of continuing the channel. I personally have never seen a YouTube channel celebrate a milestone victory and then suddenly stop altogether, so I definitely find this turn of events to be odd. With that said, Danger Dolan's channel has since claimed to have contacted Shima, and claims that she's safe, but not all of her fans agree. Theories about an argument and potential foul play are circulating the internet, though I find all of them hard to believe since Shima is in the United States and Danger Dolan is all the way in Australia. The scenarios are mostly just speculation without much evidence in my opinion, but I'd like to get yours. A ghost hunting channel in India called Ye Kayatha knows of a haunted railway where plenty of lives have been lost and therefore plenty of paranormal evidence to be found. K2 meter in hand, they walk down the paranormal path and wait for a sign. Occasionally they feel watched and stop to scan the horizon, but nothing is there. Soon a general feeling of unease becomes so unbearable that they stop to put down the K2 meter. They know a life was lost here and a ghost is nearby. They can feel it, and then
एहसास करवाएं, वैसे आपने करवा दिया है
भाई। रीडिंग देखो कितनी तेज आई है।
अच्छा, हमें साइन मिल रहा है।
The ghost hunters aren't surprised to see the K2 meter spike hard for the very first time all night. They stand around for a long time staring into the darkness and getting nothing on camera, but just when they're about to give up,
कबीर भाई सामने देखो।
कहाँ पे?
जसी भाई।
they go a few steps forward but stop when they realize the ghost has disappeared, or at least that's what they claim. They should have kept running if they wanted to prove it really was a ghost, but they were so creeped out by that point that maybe they didn't want to. It's easy to say that this is fake because they don't go forward far enough, but you never know how you'd react until you're the one having a ghost sighting. This paranormal ghost sighting video could be real. Danny keeps noticing footprints in the snow leading up to his house, wide and spaced far apart. He checks his CCTV system only to discover whatever is making the tracks is apparently invisible. 7 seconds into the video, snow patches fly up for no reason at all. Danny suspects that this is a ghost because absolutely nothing was nearby. The long tracks do kind of look like someone kicking their feet as they are being dragged, but I'm not sure what to think, so maybe you can help me decide. There's an abandoned house deep in the forests of Malaysia that was once owned by a kindly elderly man who threw large parties and enjoyed the company of everyone, but one day he mysteriously passed away, and in his place moved in rough and mean squatters who used the happy home for their own dark rituals. Now a team of paranormal investigators are looking to see how well these conjuring rites have worked. You're going to hear a noise after the footstep. Is this an animal or someone crying out loud? If it is an animal, we never hear it again, and it isn't long before they find a voodoo doll made from twisted wood scraps. It looks like it took a long time to make and is probably infused with arcane magic. There's a large wooden stick jabbed through its foot, so I think it's been used, but does it work is the question. They don't stick around and leave before whoever made it returns. A TikToker named Melody Zaragoza 1121 has an experience she will never forget on a flight, as she later describes simply as being not fun. All of the monitors go haywire and flash on and off in strange patterns, bathing the cabin in a green alien-like glow. At one point, they all turn on at once, almost as if there is some sort of deeper communication efforts at play. But without any further evidence, I would just as soon attribute this experience to faulty wiring, which, now that I think about it, is probably one of the few instances where a ghost could be arguably preferable. When unexplained shadows fall, your only recourse is to search for an answer. Posted to the Chills Narrator subreddit, Sammy Sam 1870 writes, "It was 2:06 a.m. and there was no one walking around, nor were there any cars in sight when this mysterious shadow strolled across my security camera. The following day, I tried to figure out where it could have came from, but found no explanation. The security camera footage shows a black shadow cast upon the ground, moving across the screen. As the Redditor explained, nothing visible in the area is casting the shadow. So do we have a shadow figure on our hands, or is this just a bug caught at a weird angle?" This Ukrainian dashcam captures one of the highest resolution highway ghost encounters I have ever seen. Watch this part and tell me what is being said here if possible. I would really like to have a legitimate translation of this potentially supernatural message. The driver speeds off after she falls back and disappears, and does not stop until they are back to civilization. This professional quality of this video makes me wonder if this is from a European movie or television show. If not, it almost looks like a well-constructed hologram. I could find no other source for this video, so be sure to let me know if this is amateur footage or something from mainstream media. This urban explorer thinks he's in an abandoned building, maybe not. Published by Bulgarian channel Pini Studio in December of 2020. The scary video shows the cameraman standing in a stairwell. He hears something above him that sounds like footsteps. He looks up. After a moment, a hooded figure moves into view, just one floor up, blocking the sunlight from a window above. He stands there and they stare at each other for a moment. Then, terrified, the cameraman takes off running. Who is this figure, and what does it want? As it appears for now, we will never know. Thank you so much for getting me to 50,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 60,000 subscribers next. Thank you.